Hay Fever was a comical play with a strong message. The actors throughout this play steadily used others to gain their own attention. The message this play left behind after many laughs was do not use others, plain and simple. The space was a well-constructed thrust stage, however, the stage was not raised off the ground and the seats appeared to be mobile, which led to the belief that this is an environmental theater. As for the layout of the stage, there was a couch and a table in center stage for the first two acts, a door to the unseen outside front of the house upstage right. There were two large double doors upstage center leading to the backyard garden, and a raised floor upstage left containing a piano, a bookcase and a door leading to the home library. Stage left there was a half-spiral staircase that led up to the second floor, which had a painting and lights that extended across to stage right. The second floor also contained the bedrooms for the house, but the doors were not in sight. The detail was greater than expected. The hardwood floor throughout the first floor seemed to be genuine, the actual bookcase filled with real books, not stage books, and the extremely large double doors with translucent glass and floral designs led to the garden, which featured an array of plants behind the doors. The entire space was well lit for the duration of the play. The stage took place inside the Bliss home, so the bright lighting added a comfortable feel to the inside of the house. The theater was nearly sold out. It was hard to spot an empty seat, including the balcony and lower-level seating. The crowd contained nearly an even amount of student audience members and senior citizens. There was few in the audience that appeared middle-aged. The play was well cast. The entire Bliss family did a great job showing how overly dramatic and deceitful the family had become. Each actor portrayed their character accurately. There were no standouts that didn't match the character. Each visitor in the first act seemed to be feasible as far as the possibility of a relationship was concerned. All of the family members acted genuine. There was one actor who stood out as a perfect fit for his character. Taylor Rasker played Simon Bliss and played him perfectly. Rasker's character Simon was a young man who was dramatic and romantic, so much so it was almost to the point of ridiculousness. Rasker stole the show in the first act, when he was romancing with Michelle Luz, who plays Myra Arundel. Rasker was displaying his love for Michelle Luz, Myra, in the most dramatic of fashions. He was playing the Bliss game of pretending to be in complete love with someone and then a moment later change his mind. Rasker made this scene particularly hilarious, because he was completely over the top in typical Bliss fashion. Of course, all of this was for naught, because Luz ended up kissing Joe Hubbard's character David Bliss in Act 2, and also Rasker proclaimed his engagement to Caitlin Stadgemiller's character, Jackie Corden. Rasker made his voice more shrill and audible to appear to be more dramatic and create more attention for himself. In the same way, Rasker used grander gestures with his arms, flailing, waving, etc., to cause a more dramatic effect. The play was well interpreted by all whom were involved. Stephen Rentmore, the director, kept the 1920s feel by dressing in all 1920s costumes, and everyone spoke as if they were living at the time. Michelle Bisbee, the scene designer, made the inside of the home appear 1920s, because everything was grand. The Bliss home was grand with the spiral staircase, the very large back doors, and the eloquent piano. The actors' mannerisms seemed like they were portraying a silent film. In older movies, actors seemed very dramatic and had flamboyant actions to prove so. The actors in Hay Fever shared the same feel for the dramatics. As far as Stephen Rentmore's directing goes, he did an excellent job. The scene when Chris, Carl, Richard, and Caitlin Stadgemiller, Jackie, and Ren are left alone to make small talk with each other is the best pertaining to directing. The two actors used the entire stage in this scene and were very awkward with one another. This was Rentmore's doing, because you could tell he had a vision for this scene in particular, because it seemed very crisp and well rehearsed. The actors played it perfect with the excessively long pauses in their awkward small talk that the crowd was laughing through the entire scene. It appeared that Rentmore instructed the actors to keep their pauses longer than natural to heighten the awkward tension in the scene, which made it brilliant. The blocking throughout the play worked with the floor plan very well. All of the blocking worked seamlessly. The actors were never out of sight or in awkward positioning, turned around, talking to someone behind them, while face forward, etc., even during the second act in the first scene, while all 8 actors were on set. One part of the set that stood out was the staircase. It is obviously very large, but the way Owen Virgin followed Megan Davis up the stairs was seamless. They both walked up the stairs with footsteps in unison, and Owen Virgin was so focused on every detail of Davis, it almost screamed out how much he was infatuated with her. The artistic intent of this production was to entertain, and it fulfilled that intent completely. The entire audience was laughing during most of the production. I was even laughing out loud, which doesn't happen very often. Every interaction between the characters was comical at one point during the production. An example of this playing out would be in the second act when Rasker busts through the door and proclaims his engagement. The only purpose of this is to entertain, and entertain it did. The actors seemed natural moving along with their blocking and engaging with each other on stage. There was no point at which it was confusing why someone moved here or there. Every movement made sense. The overall mood that was portrayed by the combination of lighting, sound, set, and costumes was very light and cheerful. At no point did the mood drop to something darker or saddening. This is common with many comedies, because it becomes hard to laugh if the overall mood is downy and dreary. The theater space was very personal. First of all, it takes place in someone's home, so it is immediately personal. Also, the stage was built into the crowd just about so the audience felt like they were living the action out as it unfolded. The scenic design showed the audience without a doubt it was the 1920s, with the barometer in the wall, the staircase, the piano, and the lights upstairs. However, there was little evidence to show what location the play took place. All of the costumes were well designed for the appropriate characters. Adam Espinosa did a fine job of showing how these people were all upper class with nice dresses and suits and tuxes, even when they were home alone with only each other as company. Megan Davis' costumes represented her personality very well by drawing all attention to her with bright colors and silk-like texture. As far as the lighting goes, there were no changes to the lighting during the play, except for at the end of each act. The lighting emphasized a bright and cheerful mood throughout the play. This production was definitely representational, because it doesn't break the fourth wall into the audience. The actors never had any asides or soliloquies that were directed toward audience. The set and lighting were representational due to the realistic feel throughout the house. Everything was relatable to the average person. The Bliss home looked like an ordinary home from the 1920s. The overall message seemed to be, do not mislead people or play games with their emotions, or they will leave you. This was most clear during Act 3 when Luz, Carl, Stedgemuller, and Virgin were all discussing how uncomfortable they all had felt the day before in the house and decided to leave as soon as possible. This was due to the way the Bliss had romantic engagements just to get attention for themselves and did not care about the feelings of the people they were hurting. Buried Child is a play by Sam Shepard, first premiered in 1978 at the Magic Theater in San Francisco, California. Sam Shepard won the 1979 Pulitzer Prize for Drama because of this play. The play was performed in Broadway from April 30, 1996 through June 30, 1996 at Brooks Atkinson Theater. This play is fairly recent and takes cuts at American culture, more specifically, the American dream. Throughout the play, everyone is constantly reminiscing on how great they were and now they are all have fallen from their former glory. For instance, Tilden, the eldest son, used to be an all-American halfback with a bright future, and now he is in his 40s and living with his parents with no family of his own. Audiences of today would be able to relate to this play, and how people can show promise early in their life and one event can change it all for the worse. If anything, the audience could relate to a family that is growing old and growing apart. There are many problems in this family that still plague families today, even as basic as infidelity. The plot structure of this play is episodic. There is a clear linear story of events. The action of the play occurs in the first act at lunchtime, in the spring due to the heavy rain. The second act takes place on the same day as the first at dinner time, and the third act takes place the following morning. The entire play takes place inside the family's house in Illinois. The climate within the play is against the American stereotypes of having everything your heart desires and live happily ever after. It has a dark aspect which suggests all families have secrets and no one is truly happy. If I were to produce this play myself, there would be one simple setting, the house. Within the house is a staircase leading up out of sight, a couch and TV and a kitchen in the other side of the stairs. The needs for costumes are fairly straightforward. Everyone in the play wears one costume the entire play, except the mother, who changes from Act 2 to Act 3. The lighting for the first two acts is simply giving the illusion of rainy, dark, dreary day, and for the final act it is a bright morning, signaling a new beginning. The sound is an important aspect of this play. The first two acts are very sad and hopeless with the sounds of constant raining. The final act begins with the chirping of birds singing their morning songs to brighten up the mood of the play. If I had to choose one character I would personally play, it would be Tilden. Tilden is the lost son of the family who has come back home after getting into trouble in New Mexico. They never say exactly what trouble he gets into, just that he goes to jail and has to return home. He states that he felt like a foreigner and he was alone during his time in New Mexico. I choose Tilden because he is very troubled by the loss of his child, and he never recovers. This character would be a challenge for anyone to portray due to his severe emotional issues. If asked to act, I would choose a character who would be the biggest challenge. And Tilden is that character. All Tilden wants in this play is to have his old life back. Everything used to be perfect for him. He was a bright, attractive football player that had his own son who he adored. He would walk around all day with it in his hands, singing to it and telling it stories. There was a slight problem. The baby was born out of wedlock. Not only out of wedlock, but Tilden conceived the child with his own mother, Hailey. Tilden's father, who was still married to Hailey, drowned the baby and buried its body in the fields in the back, never to be found without Tilden's knowledge. The family made a pact to never talk about the incident ever again. Tilden never was the same after that. He would wander around in the fields in which he used to sing to his child. He was empty, always staring off into the distance and never had much to say. He just wanted his old life back, and he didn't know what to do to get it back, so he did nothing. Tilden's objective is to be happy. He has no purpose in life, no friends, no son, and a family that disrespects him. He has no idea how he can be happy without his son, so instead, he stares into nothing. If he is to ever become happy or normal again, he will need to start by leaving his family and becoming independent. He is treated like a child by his mother, despite being over 40 years of age. His father gives him useless tasks to do, such as fetch him water, because he is old and can barely stand. His brother treats him like an idiot and relishes in the fact that Tilden has long faded from his golden boy past so he can get some respect from his family. His family constantly holds him back and he never has a chance to grow and become his own man. He is living in the past and he needs to let that dark past go. There is one problem. He never wants to leave his baby boy who is buried in the field behind their house. He can never leave until he finds his boy who was taken from him. Tilden acts like a golden retriever. If you look into his eyes, they seem lifeless and there is not much going on. He obeys the orders of his father to fetch him this and that. He is coddled by his mother and treated like he is still a puppy, never allowed outside to wander. He is abused by his brother and Tilden despises him. Yet he stays around the house just for the opportunity to run away and search for his beloved bone that someone stole and buried a long time ago. The retriever